Reynolds to jump it against Ellis. Twice.
Such an intimate feel in this arena. And keep in mind, these players understand the significance of this game. They're going to try to quell the emotions early, but let's keep our eyes on which team can settle in early on and kind of get into the flow of their offense and defensive sets.
Xavier starts with it. They're 9-0 for the first time under Chris Mack, trying to match the best start in program history. And Trayvon blew it. He's off to a great start this season. Misfires on the first attempt. Cincinnati, high expectations this season, trying to win in this building for the first time since 2001.
And I don't think Xavier gets the credit defensively much better this year.
Ellis, the offensive rebound off of the Cobb miss. Elbows flying. Davis down to the floor in the first foul. And it goes on Ellis.
And that's the emotion I'm speaking of right there. That time, excellent offensive rebound inside, but the extra added instead of with the elbow, because the emotions are high, now you pick up an early cheap foul that may come back to haunt Ellis and the Bearcats later on.
And Jeffrey Anderson, Roger Ayers, Brent Hampton going over to the monitor to take a closer look at this elbow swing from Ellis.
Well, the key here is, was it above the chin? And no. Or underneath the throat area? No, it was underneath the elbow. So anytime the elbow is thrown, you know, they do have to, the officials go in and take a review.
And it was on a basketball play, so they stick quickly with the common foul. Good crew we've got. Anderson, Ayers, and Hampton.
Well, I'll tell you what, back in the day when I was growing up and playing, big men were taught to use their elbows in that manner to kind of free up space. Not anymore. I love the adjustment that the NCAA made with that.
Reynolds gets doubled, able to finish through it.
I love the deep post-up position that time by Jalen Reynolds. And it was a quick striking play before this Bearcat defense was able to get set.
Inside they go to Octavius Ellis. He gets doubled as well. His shot off the mark. Here comes Blewett. This is where Xavier's at its best.
They are out in transition, quick to strike.
Remy Abel knocks down a three.
And that's where the Xavier team can beat you, Joe. You see the crowd is into it. You miss an offensive set. You don't get back in transition. Don't stop the ball. But Xavier will look to attack early in the shot clock.
That was one of Mick Cronin's biggest fears against this high-octane Xavier offense. They've scored more than 90 in 3 consecutive games. Ellis got fouled by Reynolds.
And that's a tough foul that time. Jalen Reynolds in proper position. Ellis smartly used his body to create contact in order to draw the foul. And you talk about Xavier get out in transition. To be honest with you, from Cincinnati's perspective, their offense may be the best defense. You don't turn the basketball over. High percentage shots, because if you shoot early and often, not in position, those long rebounds will allow Xavier to just get out and run.
This is the first time in a long time, Jim, that you could say that offense is a strength for Cincinnati. About 20 points per game better than they were last year.
Well, shooting the basketball much better from the perimeter. I mean, they could always score inside, but it was almost a grind. And I tell you, it takes so much pressure off your offense when you're able to knock down some jump shots. Now, Alice, you're able to have some, your post players have some freedom inside without the defense right on top of it.
Offense has been no issue for Xavier. 6 players averaging double figures. That's tied with USC for the most on a single team. Edmund Sumner finds Blewett. His 3 off the mark. Rebound Gary Clark. Ellis fouled inside, and that's number 2 on Jalen Reynolds.
And when you see the philosophy right now for the Bearcats, get the ball up the court quickly, get Octavius Ellis deep within the painted area in here, and now you have an opportunity to get a quick strike. And give it to the guards of Cincinnati. They're doing an excellent job of locating where Octavius Ellis is in the post and attempting to get him the basketball.
And so just over 2 minutes into this game, their top post player, Jalen Reynolds, has to take a seat with the 2 fouls. He plays by James Farr. This is one of the better defensive teams under Chris Mack. It's always been an emphasis with him, but this team's really bought in on this end. Payne's three, rebounded by Farr.
And that's the kind of shot that plays into the hands. A contested, long three-point shot plays into the hands of the Musketeers.
Sumner had it knocked away. Cincinnati, always known as a good defensive squad.
They have to be strong with the basketball. They're going to rip, they're going to rake. You have to be conscious of that.
Top 15 in the country in steals and in blocks. Thomas got cut off, lobbed to the block.
Excellent help defense that time by Remy Abel inside.
Jack Thomas bricks a jumper. Abel smartly will slow it up so they can set up the offense.
Yeah, that's what you want to do. If you don't have the initial break, Joe, you set it back up, run your offense, get the kind of shot that you're comfortable shooting, not what Cincinnati will dictate.
Both teams coming off blowout wins. Xavier by 35 against Wright State. Cincinnati by 21 against Morgan State. James Farr has emerged as a big-time player this year for Xavier.
Well, we knew he could score. We knew he could shoot the basketball, but he's dedicated himself to becoming much more a factor within the paint. Offensive, you see the offensive rebound, leading the team in rebounding. So give the senior a lot of credit for sucking up his pride and becoming a much better player on the interior.
One of 6 players averaging double figures for this team. Payne launches. Left it short. Rebound Farr. Cincinnati has started 0 of 6 from the field. Blewett spinning his way to the rim. A lot of contact, but no call. And the foul on the rebound, I believe, goes on Trayvon Blewett. It's his first.
And James Farr, you're talking about, we're accustomed to seeing him stand behind the three-point line, dedicated inside, getting the easy basket. Xavier up 7-1.
Cincinnati's missed its first 5 shots, and Xavier with a 7-1 lead. Now the UFC's 9 Days of Fury continues tonight with UFC legend Uriah Faber taking one more shot at a title run, taking on Frankie Saenz in the UFC 194 prelims. The huge weekend of UFC action continuing tonight, only on FS1. We mentioned it a little bit during that first stretch there, but Mick Cronin's team's always known for their defense. People always say if they could only score, and so far this year they are.
Well, it helps when you have at least 7 players or 8 players that's averaging more than 7 points. The ball is being distributed around, but also they're shooting the basketball from behind the three-point line much better and more effectively. So now defenses can't sag in. You can't take away those post players and driving lanes. So credit Mick Cronin, but one thing he said, listen, our guys grew up, they got better, and that as a result our offensive sets and efficiency are a lot better.
Some moisture on the floor, they get cleaned up. And back at it in the early going to the only top 25 matchup of the weekend. 83rd meeting between these crosstown rivals.
An important play, offensive possession right here. Let's see if Cincinnati can get back inside, get an easy basket. They kind of settled for contested threes in the last few possessions.
Cobb got Sumner off his feet, but then cut off. Payne with a shot clock inside of 10. Right, Payne with 5 to shoot. Gary Clark, not even close.
Yeah, you notice everything for Cincinnati is a guy trying to beat you off the dribble one-on-one, where conversely on the other side, Xavier's kind of moving the basketball right here. Prime example.
Miles Davis knocks down the 3.
Joe, it's harder to guard the pass than it is to dribble it. And right now, one of the things Chris Mack talked about was not being stagnant on offense, moving the basketball, moving bodies. As a result, you'll open up and get shots just as we saw from Miles Davis.
Payne puts it on the deck. Ellis with the first made field goal of the game for the Bearcats.
Quick attack, body movement. Now the ball is moving. Ellis able to free himself inside for an easy basket.
Another one of Mick Cronin's big concerns, and something you mentioned, is coming into a rivalry game like this, on the road no less, getting into a hole like Cincinnati's getting into as Abel hits his second 3.
And part of it, again, I'll go back to the offense. The offense has put you in a situation, if you're Cincinnati, in some bad, precarious situations. By not taking high-quality shots, you allow the Xavier team to knock down some shots and get this crowd in early.
Cross-court Thomas, open look. Rattles around and down for Shaq Thomas. 5th-year senior having a career year.
I don't care how it went in, and Cincinnati really needed that basket to go down to stop some of this Xavier momentum.
First made 3 of the game for Cincy. Here's James Farr. This is the part of his game that has improved a ton, and he's fouled by Ellis.
And you see the difference? That time, James Farr received the ball inside and knew exactly what he wanted to do, but he was patient with his move. Last year, maybe not so much. But this year, once he dedicated himself to really working and improving his post play, now his teammates, Joe, feel comfortable and confident that when they drop it in, he can either score or get to the free throw line.
So now, Jim, we've got both Jalen Reynolds of Xavier and Octavius Ellis of Cincinnati with 2 fouls already.
And I think it goes, with those 2 fouls with Ellis, advantage towards Xavier from that perspective, because you still have Farr that can rebound the basketball. Defensively, he's there, but also, as we saw, can draw the foul. Now he has to knock down the free throw.
Yeah, and we've talked about this a little bit during the Open. Xavier gets to the foul line about as much as anybody in the country, and one of Cincinnati's biggest strengths is not fouling them.
And that's hard to do when you have an aggressive style of defense where you don't overreach, you don't overextend, you don't commit the cheap fouls. But this Cincinnati Bearcat team does an excellent job of playing great one-on-one defense, but better than that, outstanding team help defense.
And they've changed that foul, by the way. That's big. Octavius Ellis still with 1 foul. They put it on Cobb.
Got it.
So a big change made there. Just 1 foul on Octavius Ellis.
And speaking of change, Xavier switches over to the 1-3-1.
And it immediately causes problems. Sumner can't finish, but McKira can. Instant energy off of the bench. 55 and White now draws the offensive foul.
Joe, the body language right now of the Musketeers is a primetime indication of who's mentally involved in the game. The switch to the 1-3-1 zone, quick hands, able to get out in transition, and now defensively again, just being active. McCura right there giving up his body, but being in position again. This Xavier team, from a body perspective, just looks more in tune and involved in the game than the Bearcats.
How much of that has to do with being on their home floor?
Because the crowd got them involved, and again, they're playing for a lot more.
McKira's penetration opened up Blewett, who followed his own miss. Now McKira driving, finger roll, no. Reynolds got it back. Lost it. Recovered on the baseline by Cobb, who tried to fire it back inbounds, but to Reynolds with a fresh shot clock.
Outstanding hustle by both teams. Xavier able to reset their offense to get another shot at the basket.
And Nick Cronin just got teed up by Brent Hampton.
And I think Nick may have been upset when Jaden Reynolds went up for the offensive rebound. He kind of grabbed the basket, the rim, and no call was made. And that's what he said, technical foul. I mean, the emotions are high.
Yeah,
the emotions here are extremely high.
Nick Cronin, Cincinnati fans know well, did not coach this game last year. Sat out the final 3.5 months of the season because of the vascular condition where artery in his neck had torn, causing headaches, and risk for much bigger problems. He had to watch this game on his couch last year.
Well, and this year his father, who's normally, you see, you're missing those 2 free throws at every game, has a little strep throat and can't be here, but this game means something right here. His reaction, he's in the ear of the official right now because he understands that momentum is tricky. And right now, momentum is on the side of Xavier, and they got to figure out a way to get it back, and he's trying to get everything possible, the calls in particular, go in his favor to get his Bearcats back on track.
So an 0 of 2 from McKira. Xavier with possession. Edmund Sumner got cut off and found Farr. He'll pop and hit.
And that's the beauty of having Farr. Right there, the ability to one stretch the defense, pick and pop, but not spread out to the three-point line like maybe he would have done last year. He settled for a nice 15-foot jump shot, which is highly more efficient.
He's only attempted 2 threes this season. It was a big part of his game over his first few years.
Look at the activity right now, the Xavier defense.
Copain got loose and buried the 3.
And I love the fact that Cincinnati was patient, that they didn't have it on the first strike, the second strike. They went to their 4th option, was able to get a high percentage shot from Copain. for a knockdown three.
You mentioned it earlier. This is one of the best shooting teams Mick Cronin has ever had. The percentage way up there, even with really bad shooting performance on Sunday against Morgan State. Cobb pulls up, and a foul as that shot was lofted. Went away from the ball. It appears on James Farr. Good energy, just like you'd expect in a crosstown shootout. $18-9 Xavier halfway through this first half. Couple of head coaches that have risen these programs to some of the best, most consistent in the country. Couple of guys that are from right here in Cincy. Can you tell who that guy is?
That red hair right there.
Oh, jeez. Mick Cronin, who played for his father at LaSalle High School. There he is. Hap, you mentioned, is a little bit under the weather right now. Normally is with the team, but not here today. Chris Mack, St. Xavier High School. Look at that head of hair.
Oh, wait, the part in the middle. Okay.
No part there. He's just got it spiked straight up. Nice part there. He was a stud, Cincinnati Player of the Year. And started his career at Evansville and then transferred in here to Xavier. Now in his 7th season at his alma mater. 4-2 in crosstown shootouts.
Well, it only makes sense that these two coaches are here at this particular point. Growing up in the area, understanding what basketball means to the community, to these universities, the passion, the desire they play, brought up in the game. It's a perfect storyline to what we see right now in a combination of what's going on.
And these are both guys that have had opportunities to go elsewhere, but they see the value in sticking where they're familiar.
Wow. The familiarity with the surrounding counties, the people, that's what makes college basketball so special.
It's home, right?
It is, and players can relate to that because when they talk about these universities and what it means to communities, they're speaking firsthand because they grew up there.
You know how I knew when LA was home for you? When you started complaining about 60-degree weather in December. Tipped out of bounds, last touch by Xavier.
Did I mention to you that yesterday, or before I left, it was like I had a flip-flops and shorts, and I walked my dog outside in 78 degrees.
You didn't have
10
to
o'clock
mention
in the morning.
I did expose how soft you'd become.
Well, I did. It was a little chilly at 65 or 60 degrees here.
Complaining, man, if the sun would just come out. Really? So Cincinnati has stemmed the tide a little bit and at least calmed this crowd down for a moment. And they scored 18-11. That pass overthrown, and Makira couldn't hang on to it. It will stay on this end with 14 to shoot.
And that time, this is a tough by Copan. That's just a tough pass. You got to see the defense behind. Even if the pass would have gotten to the very inside, the defender was right behind him. So you got to be careful and see behind the defense.
So UC has missed its first 5 shots. They've hit 3 in a row. Jacob Evans kicks it outside for a Shaq Thomas 3 that's rebounded by Miles Davis.
I like the dribble penetration that time by Evans. Broke down the defense, made the correct play. Thomas is not able to knock it in.
Couple of subs into the game for Chris Mack, including Sean O'Mara. Works against DeBerry. Former high school offensive lineman with a strong interior game.
The patience that time to absorb the contact with his shoulder, but then to create enough space between him and the defender to get his jump hook up. That's what you get from an experienced post player inside.
There's about 8 players that are part of this rotation for Chris Mack. Then there's a few like O'Mara that make that bench go even deeper. Still paying air balls a 3.
Well, you can't replace experience, particularly on the college level. And Xavier has a lot of it.
10 or 11 players will see time each game, and again 6 averaging double figure scoring, including Trayvon Blewett. Finds Makira, who's not shy. Never met a shot that he didn't like.
But the coaching staff was very complimentary about Makira, about his shot selection and understanding. At that time, you kind of fall back into who you are, okay, a little bit. But as you see the post play right in here, somebody talking about understanding the game. Watch the contact back right there, creates enough space to get it up inside. But Makira, going back to him, here's the thing. He's matured enough to understand what's a good shot and what's a bad shot. Every once in a while, you have to live with the fact that he's going to chuck one up. That's just who he is in his nature. But he's done an outstanding job of really growing mentally as a basketball player.
Ron Cobb trying to get loose of Remy Abel. Instead, it's Evans. Boston with the rebound for Xavier. Remy Abel has knocked down a pair of threes already. He'll try again. Ellis up for the rebound.
And Cincy on this possession had to figure out a way to break down the Xavier defense. Get to the basket. There we go, right there inside.
Nice left hand from Ellis.
But it was a quick striking play, pick and roll before the Xavier defense was able to get set. Ellis, excellent job of finishing inside.
Austin gets rejected by Octavius Ellis. He lets the student section know that he came to play.
For a split second, Austin had an opening to the lane, but the outstanding athletic ability of Ellis to recover and not give up on the play, and more importantly, block the shot without fouling.
Somehow, it's a violent rejection. Lua gets fouled driving by Shaq Thomas.
No isolation play that time for Trayvon Blewett on the free throw line, extended to clear out the left side to go one-on-one. That time able to draw a little touch foul from Thomas.
Good Cincinnati foul of this first half. Davis goes by Jennifer and knocks it down. Foul from Miles Davis. Justin Jennifer into the game running the point. Freshman out of Baltimore. Gives Copane some rest. Ellis fading. Can't get the roll against Farr. Blewett quickly doubled off with a rebound. Numbers for Xavier. Miles Davis puts it on the deck. End to end to finish.
That last transition possession, Miles Davis is not going to beat you with quickness. He's going to beat you with his mind.
Jacob Evans, nice take from the freshman.
Patience that time in their half-court set. Got into it again quickly, but then attacked off the dribble.
Speaking of attacking, Edmund Sumner.
They love this young man right here. His ability to get to the basket. He's long, he's athletic, but more importantly, he comes from a very good background at Country Day High School outside of Detroit. The fundamentals for him are there.
Chris Webber, Shane Battier. Yeah. Shot clock down to 10. Here's Evans. Now with 5 to shoot. Kevin Johnson into the corner. Jennifer way long with a 3. And a shot clock violation.
Got a little Miles Davis right here taking care of the freshman. Young fella, you got to step up. You can't gamble. You reach out, teach, and then on the break, I may not be fast, may not be quick, but I know how to finish.
Including the unbeaten Xavier Musketeers, now one of the 8 unbeatens in college basketball.
But you notice how the parity of what college basketball is all about. North Carolina goes down. You have Kentucky at UCLA. Some of the teams that we didn't think would get beat because, again, you see the talent spread out. So to be undefeated at this point, Xavier speaks volumes in regards to the type of weapons and balance they have comparatively to the other teams that have lost early.
Farr with a nice seal and finish off of the feed from J.P. McCurry.
Attention to detail. Xavier doing an excellent job out of timeout, executing the play that was drawn up. And a lot of times, Joe, it doesn't mean that the basket has to go in, but do you get the shot that you want? And that time, Xavier, excellent job offensively.
Ellis into Farr, switches hands, lays it in.
That's an advantage right now. Ellis has over Farr as far as foot quickness, able to get to the basket. He was patient. I like to see a little bit more of that ball movement, swing it back to Ellis, and then he can attack far off the dribble.
7 of Cincinnati's 17 for Octavius Ellis. Here's Sumner off with a pick and roll. James Farr will head to the line.
Again, an adjustment that time by Farr. Last year, that may have been a pick and pop. This year, his mind is set at becoming a better player interior. That time, rolled to the basket, able to pick up a foul.
Called Gary Clark. That's the 7th Cincinnati foul, so Xavier will shoot the rest of the way.
You were talking about execution right here out of the timeout. I want you to keep your eye on far inside. He's able to post up right here and seal his man inside to receive a pass. McCura comes off the screen, and right there, the back pick by able to get inside. Again, that's attention to detail, but more importantly, the pass was on time and on target. But Farr was patient enough to allow the screen to happen to get into position to ultimately score.
Xavier free throw shooting has been a strength for him this year, but so far in this game, just 1 for 6.
I don't believe it. Sometimes it happens, but they're getting to the free throw line, getting themselves in the position to be in the penalty.
Attempt about 30 free throws per game. That's 5th most in the country. Shot clock winding down. Xavier's defense again buckling down. Inside to Ellis with 3 to shoot against James Farr. Didn't get it off.
Excellent defense that time by Xavier. Poor clock recognition by Cincinnati, but keep in mind, yes, Cincinnati is shooting better from behind the arc, but they're not deadly shooting. So you're still able to condense your defense and take away the driving lanes, and that's why you see a little bit of struggle from Cincinnati, because Xavier wants Cincinnati to shoot deep contested three-point shots.
This team much improved on the defensive end. Sumner above the rim, able to get the offensive rebound, and on his second try puts it back in.
Oh, what athleticism, long, athletic, and stayed with it, able to finish.
And a timeout from Mick Cronin. Up on that last possession.
It was like
Jim Jackson.
No, it was higher than that. It's like somebody hit the eject button right here, and he wanted to dunk it, but he couldn't because of the way the ball carried him inside. But the headiness to stay with the play. Look how high he's up right there to recover, bounce back up, and finish inside. And that's one of the reasons why this Xavier coaching staff and a lot of fans are so excited to see the development of this young man.
Only played in 6 games last year before he decided to redshirt. Chronic knee tendonitis.
They didn't show any tendonitis on that last play.
No. I think he's fully healthy now and having a really nice redshirt freshman season. Here's Ellis. Might have shuffled those feet, but got away with it. Evans with Sumner flying by.
I tell you what, that time, excellent rotation that time by Xavier on the back end. Ellis thought he had a shot, but then the quick ball movement shifted the defense, and Cincinnati able to get a nice little knockdown 15-foot jump shot.
Sumner goes baseline. Can't finish through contact. Rebound Gary Clark. Here comes Cincinnati. Ellis is loose inside and able to finish, bringing Cincinnati back to within single digits.
And Octavius Ellis deserved that basket. That time he contested Sumner's shot on the defensive end without fouling, ran the court, positioned himself inside to get a nice easy 2.
Leading all scorers with 9 now. Makira, tough angle.
For who? Not for Jamie.
It was for you when you were showing off.
Well, I was further back. I was out of bounds, way behind. But for Makira, that's a easy shot for him. Now, it might be harder for you.
I wouldn't hit it. No. Difference is you were telling us how you were going to make it, and then didn't.
I needed my 5th try.
Here's Miles Davis, blocked from behind by Evans. And Miles Davis comes up limping. Rolled an ankle going down to the baseline there. We'll check it out when we come back. I'm going to have to hustle to a TV.
Oh, it's not going to happen, partner. That's not what my man laughed.
How about Miles Davis so far? Tied for the team high with 7.
Understanding, the beauty about Miles Davis is that he understands his role in this team. He takes the shots when they're available. He can beat you in transition, albeit not athletically, but with his mind. Total team player. Gives you everything he has, and that's why he's so valuable and why he really bolsters this bench. And hopefully right here, and I hate to see this, that is just a quick tweak. Tied up the shoes a little bit tighter. And if you see him right there out of bounds, he's able to continue on.
Good sign for Xavier. Stays in the game. 3.5 left in this first half. Xavier trying to start 10-0, matching the best start in school history. Cincinnati, this experienced group, brought back all 5 starters from last year. High expectations for them. Not one in this building, though, since 2001. Blewett working against Gary Clark.
That's excellent help defense that time. Had the Berry cutting off the baseline.
Now 5 to shoot. Remy Abel, nifty moves inside, lost it on the floor. Shot clock runs out. That looks more like Mick Cronin's defense.
And that's the defense right there, philosophy. Your teammate gets beat, I'm going to be there to help him recover and get back, and not allow Xavier to now score, get an easy look. But here's the thing coaches always talk about, Joe. Can we get consecutive stops? That's what allows you to get back in these games. Consecutive stops, get you a nice little basket, get to the free throw line. Now you develop that kind of momentum you look forward to getting back into the game.
You know, they average forcing 16 turnovers a game. That's only the second turnover they forced today.
Excellent job, Xavier, valuing the basketball.
Gary Clark, size advantage on Blewett. Used it to get the offensive rebound to tee up Johnson. A lot of banging inside and a foul.
That physical play inside. That time Trayvon Blewett absorbed a lot of contact in the chest. Johnson able to get an open look but not knock it down. But the physical play inside, I think you see it heat up a little bit more as we finish out this first half, Joe.
Chris Mack, always intense. Even a little added intensity at the shoot-around today. You can tell there's a rivalry game coming. Here's the Berry. Wild shot. Tipped into the hands of Makira. He looks to run for Xavier. Better job of transition defense this time. And last touch by Cincinnati. Makira went a little bit out of control. 14 to shoot.
Yeah, out of control. I did give a lot of credit to Cincinnati doing an excellent job of taking away opportunities of the leading scorer for Xavier, Trayvon Blewett. As soon as he thinks he has a crease, someone is there, or when he has an open shot, it's highly contested. So they're doing their job on the Musketeers' leading scorer thus far.
Yeah, he averages 16 a game. He's scored in double figures in every game this year, but hasn't scored today. Gary Clark got his hand on the inbound pass. Makira hustled back to knock it out. Last touch by Cincinnati.
Just when you think you're Cincinnati, you get consecutive stops, you're out in transition, you think you're going to get it easy too, but Makira not giving up on the play. Coaches always say this. Okay, yes, we turn the basketball over, but hustle back because you never know what could happen. You can impact whether or not the opposing team can score. Great hustle that time.
Blewett through contact for his first points of the game and a foul.
It's funny how a defensive play can energize a team, and right here, Trayvon Blewett able to clear the right side of the court, and the beauty about that, it was an aggressive one dribble move right to the basket. He didn't play around with the basketball, which makes it tough for defenders to be able now to slide in and help.
Second foul on Gary Clark. He and Shaq Thomas both with 2 for Cincinnati. And Xavier has its largest lead of the game with 2 minutes left in the first half at the Cintas Center.
And Cincinnati, we talk about under 2 minutes. You're down 14 points. You got to figure out a way to get some momentum going into halftime to get this lead back down, hopefully below double figures, to give yourself a little life.
Evans can't hit. Makira the rebound. Evans hustles back but called for the foul. And that will put J.P. Makira at the line.
Evans is looking around like, what did I do? But just by Makira going and giving his body up, going to the floor, initiates the contact, and a lot of times a more aggressive player, as the end result ends up getting the foul called his way.
Earns his second, 5 from Makira. Crowd sees Mick Cronin getting on the officials again. He's already been teed up once. Cincinnati's got to be careful here.
emotions are high, but here's the thing. As a home team, you want to take the life out of your opponent. And you do that first on the defensive end because Cincinnati has struggled to score. You don't want to give them any kind of hope that going into halftime that they think that they can come out in the second half and turn the tables on this game.
Ellis throws it away.
And Ellis wanted to go cross court that time with the pass and was indecisive that time. He was in between because Johnson was open, but really didn't put anything on the pass. And that's the confusion right now in the post as the double team occurred by Xavier Ellis.
8th Cincinnati turnover. Only 3 for Xavier. Davis, nifty pass. O'Mara stymied at the rim by Ellis. And Dillenbauer 13 seconds on the shot clock.
But again, it's the deep penetration by Xavier off the dribble. Collapsed the Cincinnati defense. So luckily, Ellis able to recover and block the shot.
Xavier takes a timeout with 1:04 left in this opening half, dominated by X. Largest lead of the game for Xavier at 16 with 1:04 left in this first half.
It's been a tough sledding for Cincinnati offensively, never really getting to a rhythm. Again, Xavier defensively has been in positions, but I'll tell you, Cincinnati, when they've scored and got easy baskets, have been quick hitting plays, decisive plays, and also trying to figure out how to get something to the basket, something easy.
Trying to make sure this thing doesn't get much further out of hand before they head to the break. Trying to finish strong in this first half. Inside a 10 to shoot. Redmond Sumner. Sumner, tough finish.
He may be slight, he may look a little thin, but he has a lot of heart. And that heart allows him to attack the rim with the fearlessness to be able to finish.
Johnson, corner 3 and a big one.
And that was a big one to kind of quell the momentum. Now you got a steal right now for Cincy. Can they capitalize?
Yes, with Thomas, and again it was Johnson, the senior maker, the junior making the play. Xavier can have the last shot if they want it. What a turn right there.
Well, you get 5 quick points, and you get a defensive stop here. Feel good about yourself going into halftime.
O'Mara screening for Sumner. Miles Davis way outside. Got it.
Well, if you're Xavier, that's the way you end the half. And very smartly, Miles Davis stepped back behind the 3, created a little space, a little knuckleball. Not customary to how you want to shoot, but again, understanding spacing on the court. Sumner right there. That was a deep 3, but he was confident he could knock it in.
So much for that momentum that Cincinnati had taken. Miles Davis 4 of 5 from the field during that first half with a team high 10. And Xavier trying to start 10-0 to match a school record. Out front 42-26 after 20 minutes in the 83rd Crosstown Shootout. Coming up at halftime, it's the Fox College Hoops halftime update. Rob Stone, Steve Lavin, Donnie Marshall right after this timeout. First half, only playing double figures. I mean, that was a big time shot. Cincinnati had scored 5 in a row with that quick steal that they had. And taking the crowd out for a moment. Looked like they were going to go into the break with the momentum. Miles Davis rips it right back with that 3.
And you pointed that out once we kind of got off there and went to break it. The momentum, and you can see it on the sideline from Cincinnati. Their body language told the story once that 3-point shot went in. Took away the momentum they thought they had.
Shaq Thomas can't hit a 3. That's the way the second half begins. Cincinnati trying to win for the first time in this building since 0-1. Xavier trying to start 10-0. Edmond Sumner has one bounce over the backboard.
And it's a difference between a 3-point shooting team and a team shooting better from the 3-point line. And we're seeing this in the first half as Cincinnati's 3 for 11, which is they're shooting better from a 3-point line. But Xavier is a three-point shooting type of team. And if Cincinnati can find a stroke, I tell you what, it allowed them to get those easy baskets, but right now not able to knock them down.
Rod Cobb, there's a guy that could get him going. Yeah. Shut your mouth, Jim Jackson, he says.
A prime example, in rhythm that time, Cobb able to catch, square shoulders up, and knock it in.
He had a great start to this season, but it cooled off. Came into this game 2 for his last 12 from outside. And a Xavier turnover, only their 5th of the game. A bounce pass for Thomas, lost the handle, got it back and rolled it in.
Well, that time Sumner has to throw the basketball to where Jalen Reynolds is requesting it. That time he threw it to the outside, and it was an easy steal for Octavius Ellis, and now Cincinnati able to get out and get an easy basket.
Just the start they needed, or able. Not necessarily the shot you want if you're Xavier.
No, you had Jaden Reynolds inside, actually.
Ellis, athletic catch. Stepped on the baseline.
It's one of those things where Cincinnati just can't get that consistent rhythm to get back. And you get a defensive play, you score. Get another defensive play, but then you're not able to capitalize off of it to really cut into this lead.
Only top 25 matchup of the weekend. Second time both teams have been ranked in the 83 years these teams, or the 83 times these teams have been meeting. Lewitt had his shot blocked. Clark, Shaq Thomas, Octavius Ellis over Reynolds, and Cincinnati with the first 7 of this second half.
Excellent execution, and thought there, get the ball deep down low to Ellis to see if he can pick up another foul on Jalen Reynolds. Patience that time allowed Ellis to have a nice little jump hook inside.
Both coaches preaching that the toughest team would win the game. Xavier was the tougher team in the first half. Since he's shown nice toughness so far in the second stanza.
A little mismatch inside.
Sumner called for the foul as a result.
Not moving the basketball, moving bodies allows Octavius Ellis one-on-one inside, and again create a little space with the shoulder into Jalen Reynolds' chest. Allows a jump hook to happen, and when they've run the offense, when they've had spacing and moved the ball through Octavius Ellis, good things have happened.
This is a team averaging more than 80 points per game, much improved on this end of the floor from previous seasons. Gary Clark. Rod Cobb launches and knocks it down, in Cincinnati in the blink of an eye back to within 6.
And it doesn't take much. Again, Cincinnati had opportunities. They didn't seize the moment. Right now, the difference is the shots are going in.
Are separated by about 3 miles. First time they ever met in basketball was after the 1928 season to dedicate Schmidt Fieldhouse, which is still standing on the other side of campus. That was a 29-25 slugfest. Second half has been all Cincinnati. They've scored all 10 to jump back into it.
Well, the party started with Farad Cobb, three-pointer at the top of the key. She said Shaq Thomas getting out in transition, able to get an easy basket, and Octavius Ellis, I talked about it. When he's inside, occupied one-on-one, he can do some damage, and you see shots start to fall in. Bam! Now you can knock down another. The rim seems a lot bigger once shots go in, and guess what? Your defense now begins to feel better about itself, because in this second half, Cincinnati's been able to shut down Xavier from getting the kind of shots they want, and now, more importantly, they're capitalizing on the offensive end.
It's a 15-3 run dating back to that last stanza of the first half that included the Miles Davis buzzer-beating 3 to finish half number 1. Who does Xavier go to try and break this run for Cincinnati?
Good place to start is right here with Trayvon Blewett. Even though he didn't get the shot, excellent defense that time for Cincinnati.
Shot clock winding down. Sumner from way outside puts it on the floor, gets it off, banks it in.
And sometimes you just athletic ability and great talent just takes over. That time it was really good team defense by Cincinnati, but an outstanding play by Sumner, able to bounce it get it and soft touch off the glass off a runner.
So it's the freshman that snaps a 10-0 Cincinnati run. Inside Gary Clark, looking for his first points of the game.
That was just excellent defense that time by Blewett.
Shaq Thomas high off the glass to respond.
And Thomas himself making some noise, getting to the basket, understanding where the gaps and holes and seams are in the Xavier defense.
And a team high 15 on Sunday in the win against Morgan State. He's got 9 in this one. Far screening for Blewett. Hands off for Sumner. Remy Abel, corner three. Got it.
Drive and kick. Coaches work on that all day, but let me tell you something, Joe. Unless that pass is on target and on time, Remy Abel is not allowed to catch and shoot. And that time, excellent delivery by Sumner.
Ellis on the block against Farr. Double comes from Davis and a foul. It's either going to be Miles Davis or James Farr. And they call James Farr for his second foul. Cincinnati is charged back into it after trailing by 18. Remy Abel able to knock down his third three of the game off of the nice find from Edmund Sumner.
Well, it's all about dribble penetration and second in defense. You're going to see Trayvon Blewett right here trying to penetrate, and now Sumner's going to come off. And what that does, it opens up the driving lane. But I want you to keep in mind, you got to stick to your principles. As Sumner's able to drive, when we freeze it right here, this occupies Shaq Thomas right there. Shaq, now the pass is able to get out to Remy, who respaces himself in the corner and is able to catch and shoot in rhythm. Again, it seems like a simple thing, and again, Abel was able to knock down the three, but it was the execution and that pass that was on time that ultimately resulted in that three-point shot.
That is the fifth Edmund Sumner assist of the game to go along with 8 points. This is a 16-point game at halftime. Cincinnati scored the first 10 of the second half to charge back into it.
And how did he do it? One, got consecutive defensive stops and was able to knock down a shot. That's a tough shot right there, and that's what you want. Here's Xavier.
Copain with a second try buries the three.
And how many times have we seen in college basketball period, an offensive rebound off a long shot leads to another opportunity to knock down a shot?
Second chance opportunities were all Xavier's during the first 20 minutes. Cincinnati coming up with some second chance points in this second half. Tough shot, Miles Davis.
Sometimes you just have to be good. And Miles Davis didn't really elevate, but he was able to get his extension up over his defender and knock down a crucial two-point shot.
Cincinnati shared it well. Copain gave up his dribble, working against the zone. Cobb can't get the roll. And a whistle on the rebound, a foul on Xavier.
And that time, Octavius Ellis did an excellent job of not ball watching. And what I mean, as the ball was moving around the perimeter, he got himself in position for that offensive rebound before the shot was even taken.
I'll say that it was while he was elevating for the tip-in that he was fouled, so Octavius Ellis to get 2 free throws. Senior from Memphis, Tennessee. He's in his second stint at Cincinnati. Started his career there in 2011, but was dismissed from the program. We'll have one more coming. Played a couple of years of JUCO ball before he came back to Cincinnati last year. Averaged double figures. An even bigger part of the equation this year. And he's been the focal point of this offense so far tonight.
He's been the focal point because he's matured as a player, as a young man. So now the coaching staff trusts in his decision-making on and, more importantly, off the court as well.
This is both. Still with 11 to lead the way for Cincinnati. Back to within 8 inside of 14 minutes. Farr, size advantage inside if they can find him. Instead, Miles Davis, you bet.
Remy able to catch the ball on the move. His defender had to recover, and once He couldn't recover. Were able to hit Miles Davis open for a three-point shot. Xavier stemming the tide.
Xavier shooting it well. Miles Davis has hit all 3 of his 3 balls.
Well, he's shooting it well, but again, it's off a great ball movement, unselfish play. Miles Davis just squaring his body up. I think if I was that open right now, Joe, I could knock it down.
Last year it was D. Davis that went 5 for 5 from 3 in the 2-point Xavier win at Cincinnati. And this year it's Miles Davis, junior from Plainfield, New Jersey. Doubled his scoring from his freshman year last year. And an important role as a leader of this team here as a junior.
I think we pointed this out. It's important to realize you see a double team inside that Trayvon Blewett and Jalen Reynolds haven't been in-back players on this game thus far.
Jack Thomas rises and hits.
And those were the shots early in the first half that Cincinnati wasn't knocking down. But in this second half, the body language again is a little bit different. Those shots are now going in for the Bearcats, allowing them more importantly to set the defense.
Blewett over the top for Farr. It is fouled by Clark before the shot, says Jeffrey Anderson. And that is number 3 on Gary Clark.
And that's the picture of success in regards to how do you, one, post up inside, get your position, but also from Blewett, the excellent pass to the outstretched arm of Farr to get it to him inside to be able to get that foul call.
How many times last year did you see James Farr trying to post a guy up like that?
He would try, but he wouldn't extend that time period in order to get the ball. And now he's understanding how to use his movement and body inside to create space to get open.
Clark able to wrestle it from him. And then a foul on James Farr to wipe away Clark's slam. 3rd on James Farr. So Clark, who has not scored in this game, making his presence felt on the defensive end.
And that time, Farr's like, throw it back, throw it. See, that time again, the outstretched hand is where Farr wanted it, but Sumner threw it more to the inside lane. So now Clark has a chance to deflect it. And that's what coaches talk about, the attention to detail. Throw it to the open hand, not where you anticipate lots of times.
Wound up being a pretty good foul for James Farr because Gary Clark was headed for a dunk. Now he's headed for the bench.
Well, in that position, too, you look at it, is it worth giving up the 2 or me picking up my 3rd foul?
What do you think?
You know, in this situation, with Jalen Reynolds having foul, it may have been easier to allow the point to go because now Farr still was in the game, and now you don't have that big body inside that you could take advantage of. So let's see how, with O'Meara, how the offense now runs, if it goes through the post, or is it more perimeter oriented?
Troy Copain with another bucket. He's now got 8. Back to a 7-point game. Sumner, travel. Great job by those officials getting together there, Jeffrey Anderson and Brent Hampton, and deciding on the call. Cronin's team has climbed back in after trailing by 18. Scored the first 10 of the second half. Within 7 with a dozen left.
Now, you knew Cincinnati was going to come out fighting in the second half.
Thomas lost it at a bounce. Cronin 3 and 6 officially in crosstown shootouts, even though he wasn't on the sideline last year. That loss goes against his record. In a series that is near to his heart, having grown up in this city. Makira, a tough angle shot that he prefers. Can't hit this time.
And excellent box out by Cincinnati inside. See if they can get into a quick set. Looking at Clark to see if they can get him on the post.
Evans traveled. That brings us to a timeout. Looked like Xavier was going to run away with it. Cincinnati's battled back in the 83rd crosstown shootout. 52-45. Twice Xavier has faced a top-ranked Cincinnati team and won both times. 1999, Bob Huggins, Kenyon Martin with the Stars for Cincinnati. Kevin Fry put Xavier up with 4 points, couple of free throws, and then a wild breakaway layup. 66-64, the final in that one. And last chance wouldn't go. And that was it. 96, though, perhaps the most memorable moment in the series.
Brown against Burt. Brown starting his dribble. He moves in, he pops up, he shoots. Scores! Lenny Brown! Xavier wins it! The Muskies win it! 71-69! And the UC Bearcats are #1 in the country, #2 in their own city!
Andy McWilliams with a memorable call.
Oh, that is classic. #1, but #2 in your own city. That is classic.
The city that Chris Mack grew up in, St. Xavier High School. 7th season as head coach. Here are the Musketeers. He's 4-2 in these games, trying to move to 5-2. Have led the entire way, despite Trayvon Blewett not doing a whole lot on this end of the floor. Loose ball picked up by Cincinnati.
A really good job of forcing Trayvon to shoot under duress, never really giving him easy looks, easy opportunities. He's going to have to figure out a way to get out in transition, get to the free throw line. That can create a momentum for him, which I think they'll need down the stretch of this game.
Blewett just 1 for 7 from the field. Jack Thomas working against Makira. Fired a pass into the hands of Jalen Reynolds.
And the mistake, Jack Thomas got in the air. He tried to make a decision once he left his feet.
Makira, transition 3. He thought he was fouled, but no whistle. Copain for DeBerry and his first bucket.
And just because Shaq Thomas was able to rotate up, he brought the defense up. That time lost sight inside and able to get an easy basket. And DeBerry just made himself available. But again, that was excellent execution by Cincinnati in their half-court set.
Closest it's been, Jim, since it was 5-1. The opening minutes. Jalen Reynolds changes that, plus the foul.
And we had a little in Cincinnati, and I talked about this, by having multiple movement. DeBerry sets the pick, Shaq Thomas comes up. The rotation that time by Trayvon Blewett wasn't there, giving up a layup and a little cross screen. Jalen Reynolds loves to get to that right hand, left shoulder, and able to finish through contact. Let's see if he gets to the free throw line and complete the three-point play.
He's only got 4 today. He only played 4 minutes in the first half because he picked up that second foul. Only about 2.5 minutes into the game.
And Jaden wants to take that next step. He has to develop that left hand. Right now, teams are playing him to go to his right. The left to the drop step to the baseline is open, but he's not as comfortable using his offhand.
That's the halfway mark of the second half in a 7-point game. O'Payne finds Evans, extra pass. Johnson bouncing into traffic. Miles Davis pulls it out of the crowd.
Man, it's very hard to pass through a zone defense.
Sumner!
Give me all 2 of those.
And now Sumner with a steal, starting the fast break to Abel. Miles Davis follows the miss. 4 turnovers in the last 5 Cincinnati possessions, and a timeout coming for Mick Cronin.
Want a free pizza from Domino's?
You're talking about excitement. Sumner right here with one dribble, the explosion, and say, Octavia Sellis, this is business, it's not personal. Oh my goodness. Just when you thought you were coming back and Sumner just closed the door, and actually he looked around and kind of surprised himself. And sometimes as a player, the natural instincts take over and things happen, and they just happen. And I think that play right there, I think he may have even surprised himself.
Cincinnati's gotten loose with it on this end, leading to the Xavier run. Turning it over for the last 5 possessions. Ellis in a crowd, can't finish. Loose ball and a foul. And now the team's coming together, and the officials quickly getting between them.
You see on the last 2 possessions, Joe, the zone has given Cincinnati a little different look and little different problems inside, because now it's not one-on-one coverage. You converge by 2 or 3 players. The looks to the basket are not there, and the continued hustle by 2 players. A lot of that is frustration on Ellis's end, that he's not getting those same easy looks as he got when Xavier was again playing man-to-man.
That was Reynolds and Ellis. Incidental contact, both going to the ground, but both fiery guys.
But I love the hustle. And Reynolds wanted to get up, but he understood the magnitude of the game and that you have to control your emotions. And this is what you expect from young players in a situation like this. There'll be high emotions, but at this point of the game, they've been under control.
Inside of 10 to shoot. Miles Davis doesn't need much room. Miles Davis way downtown. Clark up high for the rebound, and he's fouled. Either Sumner or Farr. They'll get Sumner for his second.
An excellent decision making that time. Octavius Ellis on the defensive end. He gave space to Miles Davis, used his length, knowing that once the shot went up, he was able to use that length to contest the shot.
Inside of 8 minutes. Cincinnati had cut it to 5. Xavier scored 6 in a row. Trying to solve that zone. Cobb rises. Rattles out far with a man's rebound. Here's Reynolds against Clark. Jalen Reynolds can't get it. And Copain comes up with the board. The zone has stunted Cincinnati, which was rolling to get back into the game.
Struggling to shoot perimeter shots. It's a smart decision to go zone.
Backdoor lob for Thomas, blocked by Reynolds. Out of bounds, last touch by, well, instead of foul. And now Chris Mack just got teed up by Roger Ayers. From about 30 feet away. Roger Ayers calls a technical foul on Chris Mack. That is 1 apiece if you're keeping track at home.
Yeah, coaches too. It's not only the players, guys, it's the coaches that are involved in this heated rivalry.
Couple of historic rivals colliding tomorrow. Syracuse taking on St. John's at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. Coverage starts noon Eastern, only on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Both coaches have now been teed up. Chris Mack most recently. Here's what he had to say to his team after.
We got that war. It's my bad on that last one, all right? You're going to go 2 free throws, and it's going to be their ball underneath. I need you to pay attention.
And Joe, why that's important is because coaches always talk about, in particular in a game like this, to control your emotions. And that time, Chris' emotions got out of hand. He got a technical foul, which can ultimately result in this. One, Cincinnati has a chance to take advantage of it at the free throw line. Momentum can shift their way. So he wanted to get his team, wanted to make his apology, but get his team back focused on the defensive end of the court, knowing that Cincinnati is still a lot of time left in this game and they can still make a run and try to win this game.
So 2 shots for Troy Copain. Only the 5th and 6th free throws of the day for Cincinnati. Coming from the junior point guard. He's continued to gain confidence for this team. Nick Cronin told us today that He thinks he's turning into one of the best guards in the country, and folks that don't know about him yet, by the end of the year, he thinks will.
Well, he has good size. You know, his delivery, his demeanor is there. Able to, in a hostile environment, get to the free throw line and knock it in. And again, this is a chance. You get 2 points right here. Can you knock down another 2-pointer, 3-pointer? Now you cut into this lead. And that's what I'm talking about, how momentum works in your favor if you're Cincinnati. You can capitalize off the technical foul.
Bearcats, Jim, have gone 4 minutes without a field goal. Xavier extending this lead. It's at 9 right now. Sumner got his hand in the passing lane. Cobb got it back. Over far. Inside at 10 to shoot. Cobb trying to find room. Cobb fading off the front of the rim, tracked down by Remy Abel, who lost it. And back to Cincinnati.
Both teams escaped there. Cincinnati had an opportunity inside, but excellent defense in that time. Xavier out in transition, but Remy Abel just off a little, just a slip right there. Maybe a little condensation from the humidity inside the gym right now. It is 60, almost 60 degrees in December. It's outside right now, so it could have been some condensation.
Didn't think there'd come a time where we'd need AC mid-December in Cincinnati. 6 minutes to go.
Well, you need it in LA. Did you do that?
We're in 5 minutes without a bucket now. Gary Clark finding Copain. His three off the iron. And tipped out to Cobb for a fresh possession.
Patience. Get the kind of shot you want. Don't force it. The Xavier defense got to figure out a way to crack this 1-3-1 zone. And ideally, you want to get it to the free throw line or short corner. Collapse the D, kick it out, and get a shot.
They can't get any kind of look. Cobb closed out in the corner. Inside they go to Ellis with a drop step and the foul on Reynolds. When they needed a bucket, they went to Ellis to snap the 5-minute drought.
And Ellis played a little peekaboo on the base, able to get the pass inside. And guess what? Because the pass was made and quick, the defense was shifting. He had one-on-one. And when he's one-on-one with his opponent, advantage to Ellis inside, able to score.
Team high 13. The senior from Memphis. Offensive board, Gary Clark. Copain into the corner. Gets it back, penetrates the zone, finds Evans. In and out with a three. Reynolds the rebound.
I love the patience, though. You got the shot you wanted. That time in the corner, Copain passed up a tough shot, but gave it to his teammate, just not able to knock it in.
5 minutes left in a 7-point game. Here's Farr against Ellis.
Improvement, footwork, confidence. Right there with James Farr on the post. I really think they need to get somebody at that high post.
No foul call. Thomas out of the corner. Another offensive rebound, a result of this zone. Copain fires one up that won't go, but again, Cincinnati with a fresh possession. And a timeout taken by Mick Cronin. This zone implemented by Xavier has changed the game.
It really has, but also the zone collapsing a lot. It's allowed Cincinnati to get some offensive rebounds.
Back here to Cincy in 30 seconds. Xavier by 9. They've not trailed in this game. Cincinnati had taken some momentum, so Chris Mack went to the 1-3-1.
Which is very smart because Cincinnati has been unable to knock down jump shots. But if you're Cincinnati, where do you want to attack? You want to attack in the little gaps of the zone in order to shift the defense. And once the ball gets out, freeze it right here. Here's the areas you really want to attack, either on the baselines or inside on the free throw line. That will shift the defense inside and you'll get open shots. But right now, what's happened because of the length of Xavier, the ball is just staying on the perimeter. A lot of times the passes are lobbed over the top. Look how far and extended away from the basket that Cincinnati is operating their offense. The lob passes allows Xavier to utilize their size. Now you got deflections inside. You think you have a shot. The length comes into play. So Let's see if Mick Cronin and his coaching staff make the adjustment to try to have the ball touch at least the free throw line on that short corner to shift Xavier defense.
Cincinnati is a program that's known for its defense. A lot of people think of Xavier, most recent additions these last few years, as an offensive powerhouse. Not that Chris Mack resents that, but he'd like folks to think of them as a defensive squad too.
And why they've gotten much better defensively is because they've matured as young players. Because the hardest thing for young players to understand coming into college basketball is not just guarding your guy, but how do you guard off the ball? How do you play help defense? In particular in the zone, with the maturity level of these young men, they become a much better defensive player because they're committed to learning it.
Only one bucket in the last 6-10 for a Cincinnati team that trailed by 18 during the first half. It cut it to 5, scoring the first 10 points in half number 2. But Edmond Sumner's dunk lit this place up, and in conjunction with the zone that Chris Mack went to, Xavier stole the momentum right back and in control with 4:17.
In-game adjustments by both teams. Let's see if the zone, it looks like they're going back to a man-to-man, because they did, even if it was effective, Joe, they did have some issues with offensive or defensive rebounding.
You okay with the decision?
Well, I am now, because in the timeout, I'm sure Mick Cronin drew up a play versus the zone.
Here's Thomas against Blewett. Gave up his dribble. Gary Clark, size advantage against Sumner. Double comes. Copain now. Sumner cuts in front of it for the steal.
An excellent help that time by Remy Abel, taking or negating the size advantage inside, and that time Sumner using his quickness and athletic ability to come up with the steal.
And the 15th Cincinnati turnover of the game. Miles Davis inside a 10 to shoot. Reynolds against Ellis.
As a post player, I would be frustrated when I put my hand up and the ball didn't come to where I wanted to receive it. That time, hand up by Reynolds, inside directly from Miles Davis, able to make his move.
Ellis now. Trent. .302 left to go. Mick Cronin puts the full court press on. Down 9 or down 11.
If you're Cincinnati, the problem is you don't score in bunches enough. So you, the full court press, and that's meaning your offensive set. Can you force Xavier into turnovers? Also, can you force them to speed up and maybe take quick shots that allow you now to rebound and get out and run?
And a 5-second violation. So the press does its job. With 3:02 to go, Cincinnati gets it back. Thomas ready to inbound.
Special situation underneath, out of bounds. Look to see Cincinnati try to exploit the defense and get a quick score. You got the stop you wanted. Can you capitalize offensively?
Out of the corner, Copain strong with a 3. Weak side rebound, Blewett. Needs help and gets it from Davis.
The clock is your ally. You're Xavier. You don't want to hold the ball, but you do want to force Cincinnati to guard and not bail them out by taking a quick shot.
Sumner fires. Banked in and out. Reynolds the offensive rebound, and he's fouled. Only the 4th on Cincinnati. Goes on Octavius Ellis.
That's where you see the inexperience that time of Sumner on taking that shot with still enough time, and luckily got bailed out by Reynolds inside. And again, a learning point for Sumner to understand time and score. As a point guard in high school, you can get away with that, but at this level, in a tighter game, that could be the play that wins or loses the game.
Good hands by Reynolds to catch the inbounds pass. Hook shot. Jalen Reynolds has taken over late in this second half.
You need big-time players to step up in big moments, and Jalen Reynolds is providing that for his Musketeers. Back to the zone.
Thomas. Xavier 2 minutes away from matching the best start in school history.
And again, we're going to emphasize your best player hasn't had the statistical impact on the game, but his presence on the court opened up a lot of opportunities for his teammates.
Miles Davis, strong take, can't hit, tipped out of bounds. Over to Cincinnati with 1:41 and a 13-point hole. JP McKira comes in for Chris Mack. Trayvon Blewett sits down. Xavier's been able to do this despite only getting 3 from Blewett, their leading scorer on the season.
We talked about the versatility, the number of contributors offensively. So when your main guy has an off night, it won't take away from the ultimate goal, which is to win the game, because you have so many guys that can step in and knock down shots and provide you with offense.
Sumner's done it all. Got his hand in the passing lane, knocked it out of bounds. 16 Cincinnati turnovers in this game, a lot of them coming against the zone here in the second half. DeBerry's hook shot rebounded by Reynolds, and 1:20 left. Sumner drives and draws the foul. Nick Cronin's team only 2 made field goals over the last 9+ minutes.
The issue is, and we'll go back to it, is that yes, they're shooting the 3 ball a lot better this year, but yet and still you don't have, 1 or 2 players that consistent knockdown shooter. And keep in mind too, other than Butler, Cincinnati hasn't played a team like Xavier. The Xavier team is different. They pose a lot of problems defensively because they're long, they're athletic. They force you out of your comfort zone. So if nothing else, if you're Cincinnati, you take down the tape, you break it down, you understand what we learned from this game, and you use it to your advantage as you get closer to conference play.
Now Cincinnati 6 for 24 from 3. He's 51 points, a season low. Copain too strong to bury the offensive rebound, and a foul. It goes on Xavier.
And those are shots right there. Dribble penetration by Cobb. Copain opening the corner. That's what you draw. Now you just have to have the confidence that you can knock it down moving forward.
So Cincinnati's 2 losses will be to Xavier and Butler out of the Big East. One more for DeBerry. You and I will be back here in early January for Xavier against Butler. Should be fun,
yeah,
huh?
2 different teams. Butler not as big, okay, but with Kellen Dunham, knockdown shooter, excellent coaching. Roosevelt, Jones, just a guy that does everything for you. You think that you should kind of blow Butler out because they don't look like the team, but they're so smart, and how they play should be a good one.
Musketeers break the press.
James Farmer. He said, "Listen, I may not shoot a lot, but I'm open right here." But he thought about that one.
Timeout taken by Chris Mack so we can get a couple of subs into the game. O'Mara comes in to Miles Davis. Make that Jalen Reynolds. He really started to assert himself down the stretch in this game.
You know the beauty about it too, you talk about maturity, and this is for Blewett and Reynolds. They were struggling early on, Reynolds because of foul trouble, Blewett because he just couldn't find his stroke. But neither one tried to force their offense in the second half, okay, because they didn't get their points or they didn't get their touches. They allowed the team to dictate when and where and how they would score the basketball, okay? And again, from Brewer's perspective, You didn't see the frustration of not hitting shots or making shots because he knew his teammates had this thing under control.
The shot clock winding down. Sumner has his pocket picked. And a shot clock violation. Xavier's lead was cut down to 5 with 10:27 left. It was 52-47. Chris Mack's team at this point finishing the game on what would be a 13-5 run over the final 10 minutes. Went to that zone, started to force turnovers, started to go inside to Reynolds. And for the 3rd consecutive year, they'll beat Cincinnati in the Crosstown Shootout. As Cobb adds a 3. They've matched the best start in program history at 10-0, matching the 1996-97 squad. And you can assume Chris Mack's team will keep climbing in those rankings, with Big East play not too far off. At Villanova on New Year's Eve, and at home against Butler January 2nd. For Jim Jackson and the rest of our crew, Joe Davis saying so long from Cincinnati. With the final score 65-55 Xavier. We'll get you out to Rob Stone and the guys in Los Angeles for more Fox College Hoops after this break.